Yeah, I haven't woken up
I
this
know
early
the
in a
coffee
while.
is still, I feel like still like kind of like coursing slowly down my system.
I
and
just-
it's reaching my toes in no time.
I took a drink a second ago and had to stifle my scream because it burned all the way down. It was too hot.
It's like,
and you were in the middle of talking, and I was like,
Yeah,
I was in pain.
it'd be weird if you're just like, ah! I'd be like, wow, he's really getting into this story. Way to go, Christian. So anyway, again, if you want to hear more of the lore, episode 10, season 1, go check it out. It's a fun episode. I remember it very well. But this next one, we're just going to dive into the next story here, and it is from a long-running paranormal blog and podcast by Lon Strickler.
Can I first say that I feel like a believer this morning? I don't know if it's the earliness or what, but I think I'm going to believe Black-Eyed Children at the end.
Yeah, I feel like this is like a setup for disappointment. So
It might be,
Yeah.
but I actually feel like that first story, I was like, I saw those Black-Eyed Kids.
I can feel it.
Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
like, shut the door.
Did you, by any chance, listen to Imagine Dragons when you're on your way over here?
Why would I do that? I was listening to something completely opposite. I was listening to Tool. Tool's my go-to before an episode. Wakes me up.
Well, apparently not. You just said you're not awake. So does it work or doesn't it?
We'll find out. Stay tuned to the Freaky Deaky.
Yeah, so this next story comes from a long-running paranormal blog and podcast by Lon Strickler from Phantoms and Monsters. And if you haven't checked it out, this blog's been on since like 2005.
Got some good stuff, actually. I've been on there.
And I'm not sure if the podcast has been running for that same distance, but if it has, it's like older than Joe Rogan. All right. you know what I mean?
That's
So,
funny. People measure podcasting by Joe
Yeah.
Rogan.
Yeah. How many Joe Rogans is that?
Yeah.
It's 1/15th, then you're just still getting started. All right. But no, yeah, tons of great stories and research there. So if you're unfamiliar with Lon's work, phantomsandmonsters.com, all kinds of stories written in. This one is from North Wales, actually. So,
Ooh, way
so
out
I have
there.
to, get an accent. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna hurt everyone's ears with that. Where I live in North Wales, there is an expansive woods right opposite my house. One day, me and my friends went to walk my dog down there as there is a path. At the very bottom of this forest, there is a giant abandoned care home without windows, no roof, an overgrown garden, no owner.
That's not a good sign.
Nobody living in there apart from birds, cats, etc. We decided to walk my dog, Trixie, just down to the entrance of the care home as my dog was afraid of it. She wouldn't walk any further than to the driveway before she started to yelp and cry. Me and my friends were also scared as we were 15 years old. When we got to the bottom of the woods, there was a little boy with a scruffy dog. It was a German Shepherd to be precise. At first, me and my friends took no notice of it, as when we had our first glance, we thought it was a woman, as he had his back turned towards us, and he had long hair. He was also knelt down, so it was hard to see his real size. But then my dog started to bark, and then his dog started to bark. The little boy stood up without turning to control his dog and put him on a leash. He dropped a shovel to the ground and slowly turned around to look at us. He was mumbling something, but we couldn't hear him as he was approximately 60 to 70 meters away from us. We just stood there. We didn't know what to do. My dog was practically choking herself on the leash trying to get away. Then he looked at us. His face was pale. He had no mouth, no nose. He just had a blurry face with a pair of the deepest, darkest eyes I've ever seen. He had no pupils. Well, from what we could see, as his whole eyes were pitch black, as dark as coal. It wasn't just my eyes playing tricks on me, as we had a good long stare, me, my friends, and him, for about 30 seconds. We all ran screaming. My dog was barking crazily. To this day, she won't even step a foot in there, not even with my dad. Creepy things go on in those woods all the time. Thank goodness I'm moving shortly.
It's fascinating to me. Like, my skeptical part of my mind tries to come up with all these different, what could it be? Could it be mental? And it could be.
The straight mental.
But still, why would our brain make up a child without eyes or a mouth? I mean, it's like, it's almost worse to think of. I'd rather it just be something supernatural because it's very confusing.
Because you're like, at least I don't have to make sense of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's almost like Silent Hill sounding with just the description alone, like the pale, just dark charcoal eyes, no mouth, no nose.
And it's funny too how creepy that is. Like,
Yeah, because it's just not natural. Like,
Right.
you look at it and you're like, okay, what is this, Voldemort?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the extreme version of the uncanny valley.
Yeah, we're just like, this is very uncanny.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. I'm not here for it. But the dog thing, that is always a fun when there's dogs involved and like animals react to stuff. Because that's one of the main things for me, like my personal experiences, where a lot of them I would be able to just be like, oh, I was probably just tired or nothing was going on or I was imagining it or hallucinating. But the fact that my cat was with me 90% of the times, whether it was my, old family cat when I lived back home with my parents,
Yeah.
or the cat that I had in Vegas, like most of the time that cat was in my bed when I was witnessing stuff. 9 times out of 10, the cat would react to the same thing I was seeing. Like it would be looking, hair kind of standing up a little bit, like, what the hell's going on here, man?
Yeah.
But so, yeah, anytime pets are involved, I'm like, they just sense something a little different about. For me, if I'm walking a dog and it's like, yo, I'm not going over there, then I'm like, something bad is over there.
Yeah, and dogs are very in tune to us. Cats, I think, are a little bit different. I just still think they're in tune to their owners.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's like the same.
They just think they're roommates.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, those are my roommates. It's fine.
Yeah, a dog will read off your emotions. So there may not be nothing there, but your anxiety and your dog will feed off of it. But
yeah,
if there's a child without eyes and your dog's barking, why take a chance?
Yeah, precisely. Why take a chance?
I mean, he might not see you when he starts chasing you, but also he could have the devil's eyes, and maybe we're not allowed to view those.
And be carrying a shovel. What was he doing with the shovel, dude?
You got to bury your victims.
But he was just on his knees with a shovel. And nobody shovels on their knees unless they're gardening. That's the real question here. Was the creepy ghoul man gardening?
And does he have a YouTube channel? Because I like to watch gardening YouTube channels.
Yeah. More on this at 11. No. Are creepy ghoul men gardening in your yard? No. More at 11. I like that story. We don't get too many. I wish we actually got more write-ins from people in different countries and stuff like that. Yeah, we've got a couple. Actually, shout out to Arlene, and I believe she's in Scotland. But she wrote in after a few episodes back talking about V, because I did tell people, I was like, hey, if anyone's listened to or watched this crazy show, please write into East Christian's worries of being alone. And it worked. Shout out to Arlene. She's written in from Scotland. If you're listening to this show from somewhere outside of the States, tell us some of your stories. Let's hear some of the lore that goes on in your neck of the woods, because I'm always fascinated by that stuff. I think this is probably the first story I've read from Wales.
Really? I've been researching a lot throughout that area just because of different topics we look into and stuff. So it's
fairies.
I love that area and the lore and the history and all that stuff. And I do have a couple topics that we'll look into that come from Scotland.
Well, there you go.
So, and if she wants us to tackle a certain topic from her region, she should send it in, and we'll do the Alaskan American, formerly from the desert, take on it.
Yeah, and that's a very hot take, if you're wondering. If anyone was wondering what the best take is, it's Alaskan Americans formerly from the desert.
Yes.
We have the absolute best takes on everything because we're very cultured.
Yes, so as cultured as you can be in those areas.
Super cultured. Yeah, so what do you think about that story? Pretty crazy, right? I mean, the fact that, like, number one, these kids were 15, right? Going with the dog reacts to it. Multiple kids all see the same thing and run away in terror. Like, whenever there's more than one person witnessing something, I get giddy because I'm like, okay, so it's most likely, unless it's, folie à deux or folie à trois. Was there 3 kids?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. Unless it's that, I can't imagine that they were just all hallucinating. Well, they saw something. What, you think they were all like, oh, let's walk the dog on acid? That sounds like a great time. Come here, Trixie. The dog's like, oh, God, no.
For the first part of the story, when you mentioned the dog's name, I'm like, who names their dog Trixie anymore? But then when they said they were younger, I was like, okay, maybe it was a while ago. Yeah,
you got Christian's seal of approval now. You did it.
I would just be disappointed if somebody in the modern age named their dog Trixie. I mean, there's so many names out there now.
Yeah, that's more of a name for your goldfish.
Yeah.
Like, what's your goldfish's name? It's a fish. I didn't name it. Okay, no.
That's
a fish has no name. Okay,
that's more of a name for your grandmother's sister.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, where are you guys going? Oh, to Aunt Trixie's. She's making snickerdoodles. Classic. No. Now she would have butterscotch candy in her pocket for sure, though.
Yep, which I didn't like as a kid, but I love now.
Yeah, Christian, that's butterscotch candy. That's the way it works.
Isn't that weird when you think about, like,